Dear students, my name is Yeva. I am a career consultant from Vilnius University, and this video is the second in series dedicated to efficient learning. Today we will talk about lectures, how to prepare for them, what are the best ways to take notes, and about module description, how can you use it in order to improve your learning. Let's start by talking about module description. On your left you can see an example of it, and you should recognize it because this document should be provided for you in Vilnius University during your first lecture. Another source to find it is in your e-learning environment, or you can just ask your professor to share it with you. There are several things that you might find useful in this description that we will discuss in short. Usually students use it to know what assignments do they have to do, what will be the contents of their exam, but there are other things that you should pay attention to. First of them is the workload. Under the section requirements for students, you can find a number which is marked by self-study hours, which is approximate number of time you should dedicate for independent learning and doing your home assignments like essays, laboratory work, readings, and so on. Of course, your tempo of learning might be different. Some of us are slower, some of us are faster learners, so keep that in mind. But if you need some orientation number that how many times, how many hours should you dedicate for your studying, this might be some help for you. Another useful information is the content. In the content you will see a list of topics that will be discussed during the semester, and in the columns closer to the topics you can see how many lectures, tutorials, seminars will be dedicated to each topic. Usually these topics are ordered chronologically, and this might help you to know which lecture will be about what. Later we will talk about preparation for the lectures, where this list might be useful as well. Of course, sometimes professors improvise and the list might not be exactly in reality, but in that case you can always just ask professor what will be the contents, the topic of the next lecture. Another useful part of module description is a literature list. This list is divided in two parts, compulsory reading and optional reading. When you prepare for your exam, this is the place where you can find all the books with the information necessary to prepare for the exam. Optional reading is the list of books that you can use when you prepare your homework, where you write essays. And for example, if you have a topic for an essay and you have no idea where to start with, you can look at optional reading, and usually a lot of ideas can be found there from the additional readings. So now we can move on to the preparation for the lectures. This takes some time, so probably not every subject will require additional preparations, and some subjects are easier, the others are more difficult. But if you have some problems with some subjects, you see that you start not to understand what the professor is talking about, preparation might help you a lot to improve your comprehension of the material provided during the lectures. How does it go? So it takes around 10 to 20 minutes for each lecture, and you look at the content list where you find the topic for the following lecture, or you can ask the professor about it. And then you look at the literature list where you can find handbooks and main books which provide all the literature for the lectures. You can look at the content list of the main handbook and find the chapter with a particular topic. And you don't need to understand or learn by heart every chapter for the following lecture, but just reading through the chapter, marking the main concepts or questions that you don't understand might help you later to follow the lecture better. So this is what you do. You just read one time, mark in your notebook the main concepts which you still don't know, don't understand, or the questions that raises for you as you read. Later, when you come to the lecture, your task is to follow what the professor is talking about and trying to write it down, all the answers that you had, and to understand the concepts that you marked before. Let's go on and let's talk about taking notes. When you sit and listen to the professor talking and trying to write everything down, it's not the best way to write everything word by word, because in this way you don't get so much brain involved. You just listen and write down what you hear. But if you try to write in your own words and write down only the main idea, this makes you think. And then you have to involve problem solving, comprehension, analytical skills, and that means that you involve a bigger part of your brain, and later during the exam or in real world practice, you will have much more parts of your brain to recover the information that you need. So this is the first tip for you. Try to write everything in your own words. Another useful thing to mention is to take down the examples that the professor shares, redraw the illustrations and the questions. If the professor asks any question, it's a very big chance that the same question will be asked during the exam. And of course, if you write down some jokes, the professors tell some of them at least, then your learning process before the exams will be much more funnier. One more question that I get asked quite often by the students is what is the better way to take notes, by handwriting or using the computer? Well, actually, it depends on your goal. If you have a very fast-talking professor and you can't waste any additional time, then using computer might help you, because, of course, we type faster than we write by hand. On the other hand, if you want to memorize information better, understand better, then handwriting is your choice, because in that case, again, you involve much more parts of your brain, and it takes time to formulate your main ideas, because, you write slower. That means that you will be forced to use your own words, catch the main idea, instead of writing everything word by word. There are three note-taking methods that I would like to share with you, and first of them is headings method. When you divide all your writing material in topics and mark those topics in capital letters or using some highlighters, and later when you will rehearse the information and prepare for your exams, it will be much easier to find the information that you need. Another advantage of this method is when during the exam professors allow you to use your notes to answer the questions, and that means that you have limited time and you need to find information quickly. So headings method, as you see all the main topics, you see bullet points, will help you to do that faster. The second method is called Cornell method, and it's a little bit more complicated but still very useful method. So you divide your notes into 3 parts. The main part is for the main material of the lecture, which you can write in headings method or just in the plain text. The part on the left, narrow part, is used to mark the main concepts and questions by the professor or the ones that you have. Later, when you prepare for the exams, you can use these questions as for testing yourself, for testing your knowledge and trying to explain what those questions are about and what are those concepts about. And if you don't know, then you can look at the main section to find the answer. And the third part, at the lower part of the page, is used for summary. There you, after the lecture, you write some main ideas that were said, and before the assignments, you can just reread that for a fast understanding and gathering of the information. And the third method, it's called lazy method, because you just take the slides, print them out, and write all additional information without unnecessarily repeating what's already on the slides provided by the professor. This method might be useful if you have a very fast-talking professor, but if you want to understand material well, this might be not so useful, because a lot of information is already on the page and you don't need to put any effort to write it down. So, in a nutshell, about the lectures. Before, you can take 10 to 20 minutes to look through the main chapter to understand what it's about, to mark down the main concepts and questions. At the lecture, you try to answer those questions, to understand the concepts, and write down only the main ideas instead of writing word by word, write down examples. And after the lectures, you can take additional 10 minutes to make some extra notes, answer questions that you still didn't get during the lecture, or write your summary. In the end, I would like to leave you with a quote: "No smart student leaves the lecture without the answers." So if you want to understand the subject, especially if it's a hard subject, please don't leave the lecture without answered questions, because they will become gaps in your knowledge, and you will have much more difficulties in later semesters understanding another subjects. This video was prepared for you by Student Affairs and Career Office, where we help students regarding internship, traineeship questions, studying process questions, and of course career questions. If you have any questions like that, please contact us, Career Center at vu.lt, and we will be happy to help you. See you in the later videos.